Really, really nice pair of gloves.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Dale. Happy Turkey Day Eve. This is Jim West, Dale Ross at Talking Preps Plus Wednesday night.
No,
All right,
no,
it's
no,
OT.
no, no.
OT. It's OT.
Not
It's OT.
plus.
It's not plus. It's OT. I don't know what it
We're
is.
the we're
It's
the
a mental block. It's a mental block at this point. I
we're
think we
the
need to
first
recall it.
yeah, we're the first overtime. So the main
We're the
show
pre
goes
we're the
and we go next.
pre-overtime. We're the pre-overtime. Let's just go ahead and face it. Well, I'll tell you what,
Mm.
we got a host of people we need to talk to tonight. Tell you what, let's go ahead and bring in our first guest and see how our coach is. We got a bunch of coaches tonight, and this one is going to be, well, we got Brandon Sneed and also got Chris Hughes with us. And how you doing, guys?
Great to be here. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoys Thanksgiving as much as I'm buried it too. It's going to be a fun time.
Can y'all hear me?
Can't hear you, Chris.
Yep.
We can hear you.
Remember,
Happy Thanksgiving,
you're a part
everybody.
of the show, just like Chris is. Everybody's part of this thing now.
Yeah. We'll give you all the secret hand signals later on, Brandon, off air. So,
all right, sounds good.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we do have a lot of guests. Dale, if you're cool with us, go ahead and bring in our first guest for tonight. Coach Jason Siedel. Jason, how you doing, my friend?
How you doing, man? Appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming the day before Thanksgiving. I'm always very reluctant to ask anybody to do that before a holiday, not to mention a big game. But Jason, how long you been with J.M. Robinson now?
This is my third year.
Third year, wow.
Yes, sir.
Tell you what, how many games in a row have you guys won now? Is it like 11, 12 or something?
11. We
that.
lost the first one to Myers Park, and then we won 11 in a row.
Wow, big game Friday night against Hickory.
Yeah. They're a great team, man. Well coached. I've known Coach Glass for a long time and have a tremendous amount of respect for him and his program. And, it's going to be exciting going against him.
Oh, I bet so. And Coach Glass has a pretty big connection to J.M. Robinson, also being a former head football coach there. Mm-hmm. So, well, I'm going to open up to the panel and get this thing on started. Dale, I know you got a lot of questions you like to ask Jason.
I'm going to let Chris go first.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
I want to make sure Chris and Brandon get opportunities.
Good.
Well, I came on here just to wish you guys happy Thanksgiving. But Coach Siedel, good to see you as always. I knew you were excited about this team back when I visited you the first time in the spring, probably around March or April. And you was raving about a lot of the young men that you had on the team and showing me a lot of the work that you guys were putting in back in the off season, which we all know is where you have to put in the work to make a run like this. You can't win a championship in March, April, May, but you can certainly lose one if you don't put in the right amount of work. And I saw you guys firsthand. So I just want to say congrats. And, I know it's been, quite the road, 2 or 3 years to get this program built the right way. But here you guys are playing the week of Thanksgiving. Great for you, great for the program. And we're about where I thought you guys would be. So I just want to congratulate you and your program for that.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. Yeah, we were when you and I talked, we were young. We were a lot of talent, but we were very young. We're starting almost 10 sophomores, So you're in June and you're 7-on-7s. You're getting your brains kicked in a little bit. You're going, man, like, what are we going to be this year? But I'm proud of our coaching staff, what they've done with the kids and the kids buying in. And we were pretty senior heavy last year. We lost some talented kids, so. There was a lot of question marks, and kids have really come a long way. And player Myers Park, like we made a tough schedule. Myers Park, AC Reynolds, even West Cabarrus had a really good team this year, and that helped us. And our conference was really a lot better than it's been in the past, and it's a credit to those coaches in the conference. And I think it's helped us prepare us to get ready for this situation.
Well, good luck tomorrow night. We'll certainly keep an eye on that game.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Brandon, you got anything, or I'll jump in?
No, I have a couple real quick. So one, you
Go
talked
ahead.
about the schedule already. Was that a conscious decision you made, just trying to prepare? Was that what your thought was with that, and how that sort of came to be?
Yes, sir. Like I thought, when the realignment, one of my goals was to try to get a real tough opponent. Myers Park being one of the biggest team in the state, size wise, and I knew they were loaded. And I thought throwing our kids in the fire early, and really just finding out who was willing to compete. Who wasn't going to back down from a challenge, and we'd still, sort our way through. And AC Reynolds going up to there, that was a trip, and our kids really showed out that game. I think that was almost, it was early in the year, but a turning point where we said, "Oh man, we may have something here." And we started to make a run. And we were fortunate enough to stay healthy for the most part. And you know how it is once you get this far, it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of timing, and who's out at the right spot. And so far, we've been fortunate enough to be there.
Sort of building on those last two, especially what Chris said before. What did you think had to sort of go right for you guys this year in terms of what did you say you weren't sure about? Maybe it's a group of position group. What had to be really go well for you guys to be where you're at? Like, what did you think that turning point, or what was the make or break for your group?
Number one, our QB. If you haven't seen him play yet, he's special. Ari Greenfield is a junior. He's about almost at 2,500 yards passing, and there's 3 games where he couldn't throw. He hurt his throwing hand. And he's at 1,000 yards rushing, just below it. He's about 30 yards from there. He really makes us go. And it was just a question. We've had him for 2 years in the JV, but JV and varsity, 2 different things, and he's really taken off. And then the other part was our DBs, the back end, and our receivers, basically almost all underclassmen. And it took some growing pains, getting torched a little bit here and there, and dropping balls and misalignments, just like we all go through. And sometimes we still go through it, but they've come a long way, and it's really helped us, solidify where we're at right now.
Coach, you said you're young coming in this year.
Mm-hmm.
You lost a lot of seniors. You scheduled a tough schedule, which I think is always good because you want to press adversity and see how kids respond to adversity. So my question to you is, with a young group and you play Myers Park and then you lose,
Mm-hmm.
since then you've gone undefeated. What was it like right after that game, and how did you keep the kids in check and on mission, on task?
What was interesting, we got our butts kicked that game. I thought our effort was good, but when we went back to the film, it was, man, we made a lot of mistakes. There's sometimes you get in the game, your kids are doing everything right, and they just don't got it. And we went back through, and when we first left the game, I figured that's what it was. And then we started going back through the film and looking at all your thing. You're like, wait a minute, man, we gave up 21 points that we shouldn't have given up. Like, we misaligned. We had an opening kickoff return. Our 2 guys went in the wrong gap, avoided the wrong way, and boom, touchdown. Like, we handed them points. And don't get me wrong, they're a great team. They beat us. But I'm just saying we left points off the board. We gave up points we shouldn't have. So then you go back to your kids and go, you guys can always control this outcome. It wasn't like you just got run over by a team. You had the ability to be in this game, and you just didn't do it. And that was part of the young guys showing them, hey, you can do this. You have this ability, but we've got to do right in practice. We got to finish out the way we're supposed to finish out, and execute. What our assignments are. And I think they started to buy in and believe. And then that next game, we beat West Cabarrus, and then I think really it was that AC Reynolds game when they went up there and really jumped on them pretty quick. And I forgot what that final was, won by maybe 20 or so. But I think our kids said, "Okay, I get it now. I understand what I'm doing." And then we just slowly started to build from there.
Not to have you give away any secrets, but how has this week gone with confidence, understanding you're playing a former state champion, a very good team and program, Hickory?
It's been a good week, and getting through that Oak Grove game, it was a great game. They were really good. They're a special team. That Oak Grove, they were huge. They were big, like a Myers Park team. And there was a point in the beginning where we looked like we had a chance to run away, and then once again we made the mistakes, brought them back in the game. And then there was a point we were down right at the end of the third, and there, you were wondering how are our kids going to bounce back? Are they going to be able to handle this? And they did. We weren't down since Myers Park. So that was interesting. Actually, really, it's a good way to win because you got to be able to, show your kids, hey, you can do this even when you're down. So this week, the kids were really upbeat. A lot of things that Hickory does and their OC, is it Mike Natalie, if I said that last name right. He's a good coach. they do similar stuff to us. And so that helps our defense. They see that stuff. You know, if you watch us play, we get in 1,000 formations. And Natalie, he does kind of similar stuff. RPOs are throwing the ball down the field and trying to mismatch you, misalign you, and get you out of place. And our guys are used to that. So that helped this week with tempo of practice, getting lined up, ready to go. And then, you know, Oak Grove's D-line was pretty big, pretty athletic, and that's what you see with Hickory. So there's a lot of, you know, similarities with the two teams. But we got to play our best game we played all year. You know, that's hopefully that's what you got to do in the fourth round. You know?
My last comment: Thursday, Turkey Day. I hope you guys enjoy your practice. I hope you enjoy your turkey, and I hope you guys have a great game Friday night.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot.
One thing I was going to mention, though, that 5A is like a fight club. 5A West is a fight club. I mean, J.M. Robinson, you got Hickory, you got Crest, you got South Point, East Lincoln, Monroe. I mean, Oak Grove, all these guys, just a deep and wide there. So, Jason, I know that over the next couple of weeks is going to be quite a battle, but I'm sure you guys will enjoy it and have a lot of long-lasting memories of the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I hope so. And I guess, and we were talking about today with their young group. I mean, whether we win Friday, and that's the plan, but, you know, whatever happens. You play how you play. But the experience they're getting for the future of this program is huge for us, you know, taking them into the next couple of years. You know, that's the plan. So.
Exactly right. You set a really high ceiling. You're going to keep on raising that ceiling over the next over the rest of the season, also in the future years. So, Coach Siedel, thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome to stick around, but I know that like a lot of coaches, you probably have other things you want to do the day before Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, it's almost bedtime for the kids. I want to make sure I'm there for that. So I do appreciate you guys having me, man. It means a lot to us in our program.
Well, thank you, brother. We appreciate you. That was Jason Siedel of J.M. Robinson, ready to play Hickory, fourth rounds on a cold Friday night. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I know we got Gary Richmond. And Gary, let's see that shirt you got on today. Good. You got Carolina. Go Hills. Gary and I are Carolina grads. So, well, Gary, I don't know about you, but the weather is going to be a cold one this Friday night. I can't imagine having to go some of the places around, but this next coach we're going to have coming in, DJ, he is going to be having a good battle himself. Coach McFadden, so good to have you around.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? I appreciate y'all. Good
seeing you, brother. Good seeing you here. You ready for Friday night? You ready for the weather?
I ain't ready for the weather, but, man, I think we're ready to go, man. We had a pretty good week. And, you know, we walk through the barn, clean it up, and then Hayes in the barn, and it's time to go do it.
Oh, I bet so.
McFadden, I saw you posted that you're inviting former players to come watch practice tomorrow. What time? How about former coaches? Am I allowed to come?
Yeah, come on. You always good with us, man. 9:30. We'll be out there 9:30.
Yeah, are y'all gonna be frying some turkeys? I heard that used to be the way a lot of schools do it. Coach Knott started that tradition at West Charlotte, and the people that fed off, you know, his coaching tree, they made the playoffs on Thanksgiving. They had the daddies come out there and fry turkeys for the players. Are y'all gonna do that tomorrow?
Nah, we ain't gonna pull the deep fry out there. I ain't gonna be liable for that if it go wrong. But we do have the dads coming out to serve the boys biscuits and donuts and orange juice before we get out there. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Any other traditions that the coaches that don't or haven't had the opportunity to do a Thanksgiving morning practice that you'd like to let the public know that successful teams do on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, I mean, this is my 5 years there, this is our second Thanksgiving practice. And that was the one thing we've done both times is invite all the former players out regardless of the year. I mean, I know the first year we had a guy out there from like the 80s. So, and that was cool, man. And we let them down on the field and they watch us practice. And then when we huddle up at the end, they kind of stand behind us and we let them speak and get a few words out. And we get ready to go do it. So it'd be good tomorrow, man. We're excited for it.
Yeah, that's a nice tradition. I wish every coach got the opportunity to practice at least once on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for sure.
One of you
Come on,
guys?
Dale. Oh,
Brandon?
come
All right,
on, guys.
Oh, I've got stuff for him. I'm
Don't
gonna
be
let
bashful.
the other guys go.
Don't be bashful.
Well, hey, Coach, I'll ask you, just kind of on that same thought of Thanksgiving Day practices. How do you kind of balance between, the expectation, you're here to practice on Thanksgiving, you've got a job to do on Friday, the enormity of the game coming up, but also kind of letting the guys know just how fortunate and how great a tradition and just the coolness of being able to practice on Thanksgiving morning, because that's just an event in and of itself. And you want them to soak it in. You want them to have fun. You want them to absorb, the alumni, the former players and cool stuff like that, but also kind of that very thin balance of making sure they know that they've got a big time game Friday night.
Yeah, I think in that aspect of it, I mean, our kids, we have seniors on this team that played against this team 2 years ago in the semifinals. So, I think everybody knows the magnitude of the game. And like I said, we're going to enjoy, the moment of practicing on Thanksgiving before we get out there and go. But our kids do a good job of being able to, have fun and let loose as they're walking up to the practice field or the game field, whatever it may be. But they know as soon as they cross that gate, it's business time. And that's how we're approaching tomorrow, man. We'll enjoy it while we're eating the biscuits and the donuts and chopping it up out there. Then we'll go through our walkthrough and handle business there. And then we'll disconnect for a couple of hours and enjoy the turkey and whatnot. Then tomorrow Friday around 11 a.m. when we come in, I think everybody will be locked in, ready to go.
Hey, let me give you a follow-up to that. You mentioned coming in on Friday at 11 a.m. How much does it add, not having that school day, not having the kids there through their normal day, when they're eating breakfast at school, when they're eating lunch, things like that, just making sure that they're there under your watch and you're making sure they're eating, you're making sure they're there versus, the structure of the school day. Like how does that work for you?
Yeah, no, I love those days where we have games where we don't have school because, as soon as the kids get there, we'll take their phones and we'll take them and we won't give them back until we get ready to get on the bus. And it just forces them to spend time together. We'll pop a movie on and they'll hang out for a bit and we'll go through the day. So I love those days. It kind of, I can kind of make sure they're doing the things they kind of need to do before a game because, they're kids, and
That's awesome.
kids are going to be kids. If they get too much free time. But I enjoy those days, man. Like I said, we kind of get them there and let them hang out for a little bit. And then around that 2:30 range when school gets out, that's when we kind of get into our pregame mode. So we've been there before. We've had a couple games like that. And, I love them.
DJ, we saw you tweet this week about not being paid. And I know about that. And what has the school system told y'all about when they plan on meeting with you? I know, a boycott was planned earlier and y'all backed off because they promised to hear the coaches out. Do you know when that's going to take place?
No, I don't. I know it is, and I know we've had some good conversations, the people that are having those conversations within our group and people downtown. But, I don't know any dates and anything like that. As far as the tweet, all is well. I got that ding this morning. So all is well. But no, like I said yesterday, I was talking to Matt on the other show yesterday. Like I know they're going to do what they need to do and try to make it right. But as far as just the time frame and everything, man, I think there's another way to kind of go about that. So hopefully they're hearing us. Hopefully, it's not just smoke and mirrors and one of those, let's tell them what they want to hear for the time being and kind of get back to normal. Because we got a lot of good coaches in this area and we've let a lot of good coaches go from this area. And as you can see, a lot of those coaches that was here, that's in other states, are still playing and winning. So just imagine what it would be like if, a lot of those guys stayed. But like I said, man, I got confidence in the people making those decisions to kind of get it right.
not to monopolize the discussion, but Sam Grind and Brian Hale's on here, and they've been a part of CMS for over 20 years, so they're invested. It wouldn't be in their best interest to leave, and many coaches feel that way once they reach a certain age because of the pension plan here in North Carolina. You haven't been in the school system as long. If South Carolina or Georgia came along and offered you no classes, 6-figure salary, could you leave your alma mater?
I mean, yeah, because I mean, you gotta, I got a fan, I got kids, you know what I'm saying, and I got bills, and I got, I got the same thing as any other, working American in this world, you know what I mean, and that would be something I have to think about, you know what I mean, alma mater or not. I love independence. The admin takes care of me. I got great kids. I got great community support. But it'd be hard to overlook 6 figures for anything, you know what I mean? So yeah, that would definitely be something I had to consider. Anybody telling you no would be lying. So yeah, of course, that would definitely be something I have to consider. But like I said, like, I love Charlotte, you know what I mean? I love Charlotte. I'm from here. I love my alma mater. I love where I'm at. You would hope and, you wish that, it was a way Charlotte could kind of get to that level so you don't have to leave. You know what I mean? My kids are comfortable here. I'm comfortable here. My family's here. My parents are here. My sisters and brothers are here. My whole family's here. So I would love to be here. But of course, that would be something that, I would have to think about if that situation came about.
I don't want to
Randy,
speak
do
for
you want to
anybody
say
else.
anything about that? Yeah.
Yeah, so like I won't ever speak for other people in terms of the other coaches in CMS, but I think that's the real frustrating part for me is sort of hitting on what DJ said. I want to be here, right? I think that's why a lot of us are frustrated. We would love to stay in Charlotte and also have the opportunity to make the money we feel like we should have, and a lot of our peers have outside of Charlotte. So that's my biggest frustration. We would love to stay here. Again, I'm from Charlotte as well. Steel Creek, Kennedy, Olympic, the whole way through, whatever, South Tryon, that's, all that. This is where I want to be at. I don't want my kids to have to move around. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to move to a whole nother region. I don't have to move to Georgia to, get compensated the way I would like to do. I'd love to stay where I'm at. I still see my people I see every day, go to the same place, go here, do all that. So that's my biggest frustration. It isn't necessarily the amount. It's just I wish I could do what I want to do in terms of getting paid while also being where I'm from and being, representing the people that are from where I'm from. So we get to coach the kids or wherever we're from. And that's important, that's important. That's impactful to me. And I know our communities as well. But we want to get paid the same way we would in those other places. So that's really my biggest source of frustration, honestly.
It sucks when you go to South Carolina and win a game too.
DJ, you hit the nail on the head in that in other industries, people move for money.
Yeah, for sure.
Your opportunity, you want to do what's best for your family and your future. And financially, unfortunately, we do have to look at that because there's going to come a time that you're going to need that money. You won't be working anymore. So you're going to have to be able to accumulate cash. So the ability to move to other areas, be it South Carolina, like a number of our coaches have done, or Georgia, or Alabama, or Texas, wherever it may be, is going to be there and should, I think, be captured. So I think that's one thing CMS, I don't know that CMS worries about that as much. But I want to ask you, I wanted to say that because I agree with you, but I want to get back to what you've done at Independence, because I think the biggest thing that I noticed about Independence prior to you was the loss of tradition. And I think one of the things that has exemplified your program is you are putting your own mark on the program, but also maintaining tradition. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that was something when I got hired, I wanted to make sure I made very clear, like, we're not trying to recreate a streak or like I said, I remember my first interview. I'm not trying to fill Tommy Knott's shoes. Like, he's still coaching. He still got the shoes on. He's still wearing them. Like, man ain't passed away or nothing like that. Like, he's still winning ball games. But one thing I believe in, and I tell my kids this, like, no matter if you go to Ohio State in the early 1900s or you go in 2025, coaches change, jerseys may change, but the fight song's still the same. And that was some things that, we wanted to make sure we got back to, was just traditional foundational principles that the program was built on. And I remind the kids all the time, you play for one of the most recognizable brands in the state and you're going to act like it. It's near and dear to my heart. And I think our kids have really bought into that. And I think that's important no matter where you are. We had a very strong tradition at Independence. That streak we were a part of will probably never happen again. And neither are we trying to make it happen again. We're obviously trying to win every game. But we'll be realistic about this thing. But, hard work, accountability, discipline, responsibility, and integrity. Some of the things that TK kind of instilled in us when we were playing there were some of the main principles that I said I was going to bring back. And our kids have really bought into that on and off the field. And that has a lot to do with the success we've had in the 5 years that I've been there.
DJ, you spoke to tradition, and the first coaching job I ever had was at Independence under Rusty Jester back in, I think it was 1988. But when I was at Independence, my first year coaching, they used to blow that cannon every time they scored, And of course, during your high school days and through the street, they used to wear that cannon out. And then for a while, the cannon kind of went away. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of forgot about it. And Friday night,
they got you Friday.
Y'all scored on Richmond. I was standing on the track and I wasn't ready for the cannon.
I think it got everybody Friday night. That was the first time we've had it all year long. That was the first time we had it all year this year.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we've had it every year I've been there. And for some reason this year, I don't know what happened, but I know it was aggravating me. It was aggravating me because I was like, look now, like, I've never been to an Independence home game and we ain't had the cannon. So like and I made it a point to tell everybody needs to tell, like, there's no way Richmond County's coming down here and we don't have the cannon. So I'm glad they figured it out and had that thing booming.
Well, that thing scared. I had something in my hand. I almost dropped it. I was like, oh man, they got the cannon again. And I tried to get ready for it. I said, okay, they get ready to do it. And they waited till after the extra point. Mm-hmm. And so, I thought they were going to do it after touchdown. They didn't. I said, okay, maybe they don't have it loaded. And then after the extra point, it went off again. And I was like, oh, man,
it got me.
The thing about the cannon,
so I can get out of here because I can't take that cannon all night.
It got me.
The thing about the cannon, they're going to do it, but it still gets you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it gets you.
I've been to some games like over Riverside that have a cannon. First time they did that, I almost jumped to the ground, just like, looking for ways to escape. But Coach McFadden, thank you so much for joining us, and happy Thanksgiving Eve with us. And we hope the best for you on Friday. And thanks so much for supporting our show.
No, same to you guys, man. I appreciate everything you guys do for high school football in the area and the kids in the area, man. Keep it up.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, you guys. Appreciate it.
Much. That was Coach DJ McFadden from Independence. Great fella. And talking about great fellas, we're going to talk to one of my favorite guys right now, Coach Marshall. Coach Marshall, I wanted to share one thing with you real quick. I had a cousin. He used to be the PA at Millbrook, Don D'Ambrosi. I don't know if you know Don or not, but he's my dad's first cousin.
Okay, so, I don't know him.
Okay, well, you're not missing anything. Not joking. He's a good fella. But, Coach, it's so good to have you on the show tonight. I'm like the only person from the east of the dividing line in North Carolina on the show, and I always try my best to talk about that our 8A football is pretty darn good on our side of the state.
No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything everyone here does, man, for high school football. But certainly appreciate the support. We do feel like we play really good football in the 919, man, and we just feel blessed to have the opportunity to keep playing this year. Practice on Thanksgiving is your goal, every year as a coach and as a player, and so I'm just happy to still be writing practice plans.
I'll tell you what, I love watching you guys play on defense. I mean, that is one nasty defense, and I love good defense. I mean, offense comes and goes, but a really good defense is just shows a lot of intelligence and a lot of hard work and discipline.
Yeah, those guys really fly around, man, and that's kind of what we wanted to, hang our hat on as a program. We wanted to be, our primary goal be the top defense in Wake County, and we thought that would give us, a lot of leverage, in the eastern half of the state. We feel like we got a great defensive coordinator, Marcus Gladden. He's been getting it done at a high level for a lot of years, but now in the second year at Millbrook, he's really settled in. And his system is settled in with the kids. So we got a lot of 2-year starters, a lot of guys who have been in the system. We played 12 sophomores last year, either in starting roles or in very prominent roles in the rotation. And a lot of those guys have grown up this year. So shouts out to Coach Gladden and the rest of our defensive staff, and especially our players, man, who really bought in, had a tremendous year on that side of the ball.
Well, you've got a great coaching staff. Coach Javar is one of my favorite guys of all time. He was always been a good fella to hang out with. I've got to ask you this. I'm from a West Side or East. I'm an East Side guy like you are, and I don't know what it is. It just seems like the guys on the West get all the attention in the state. Does it get on your nerves or get a little under your skin like it does me, or were you above that?
Well, full disclosure, man, I'm from Winston-Salem, man, and I spent the majority of my coaching career in the western part of the state. So I've had to, battle against Charlotte. I know this is kind of a Charlotte-based broadcast, and Charlotte's, kind of the SEC of North Carolina. And we recognize that. But we play really good football in the 919 as well, man. And I'm blessed to be a part of it. This is my third year here at Millbrook. And I've come to know a lot of great programs, run up against a lot of good players and great teams as well. So we're happy to be one of the 919 representatives who are still alive. And just in the eastern half of the state, there's really good football as well all over the state of North Carolina. And so there'll be some great games for fans to enjoy, all throughout the state, throughout all of the classifications this Friday. So we're just happy to be a part of it.
Oh, that sounds great. And I always have to remind people we're not West Carolina, we're North Carolina. We do have two parts of the state. So, Chris, I wanted to open up to you. I'm sure you got some questions you'd like to ask Coach Marshall.
Well, Coach, hey, good to see you. Always enjoy our visits I've had this year. Come to see you and known you a long time. But you got a great team. I mean, there's no question about that. But also, you're playing a good team on Friday night. Tell us what challenges that you could see in this Hogger team. They've got a great quarterback in Matthew Boring. I'm sure you've watched a lot of him on film. He's really surgical kind of in his ability to kind of pick a team apart. Tell me what challenges he poses.
Well, I mean, you're right, man. They're a complete team, man. Coach Underwood does a great job. He and his staff, they're just extremely well coached. As soon as you cut on the film, you notice that they just play with maximum effort all the time, man, and that's more than half the battle in high school football and really in football at every level. The Wells School, fundamentally sound. We played them last year, so we know that they're really good, not only at game planning, but making in-game adjustments. And we expect it to be a war, but you're right. Their quarterback, number 12, he's a playmaker. He's really grown up last year. He really kind of came of age late in the year and had a great game against us. The third round of the playoffs, and just watching the films throughout the season, it's been, consistent this year. Him as a standout player, so he can not only beat you with his arm, but they use him as a runner quite a bit in the +1 run situations. He can pull it down and passing situations too. So he's definitely on our radar, man. Is someone that we have to contain in order to have any success on this Friday.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, and Jim may have the exact numbers. I don't have it written down in front of me, but Millbrook's been playing football a long time, and throughout the course of the 80s and into the 90s, I'm not sure the number, but you guys probably played in the semifinal round at least a handful of times, if not more than that, but just always would come up short, whether to Garner during their run or to Northern Durham or some other teams. How is it going to feel not just for you? Do you feel like you're carrying the weight of your team, but also just for your school, trying to get them to that state championship that I know that they feel like they deserve to be at?
Absolutely, man. Millbrook's not only been a high school for, I think, 102 years now. We celebrated 100 years 2 years ago, my first year. But, you know, we've been good at football pretty consistently throughout the decades. You know, I talked to Coach Earl Smith a little bit this week, a Millbrook legend, a guy who's you know, had a lot of success at several different schools, but certainly at Millbrook as well. Just talking about the history of the program. So we don't want to put too much weight on this team. We want them to play free and with responsibility, but they've proven throughout the year, this group, that they've got big shoulders to carry a lot of weight, and we certainly want to, you know, knock down that door and make a state championship game appearance. And really, the only reason we're in the tournament is to win the title. So, you know, we got a great competitive drive amongst our coaching staff and our players. We want to be the very best. So we haven't shied away from that responsibility of raising our standard of play to a championship level. So, but it's going to have to be at that level this Friday night in order to have a chance against a team like Harvard, one of the classic programs in the state. They got another great team this year. And I mentioned earlier, they're a complete team. They get it done in all three phases. So we got a big mountain to climb, but I really like our guys. Our guys have given great effort and focus all year.
Coach Marshall, one of the issues that, and not change from game talk, but one of the issues we have here in Mecklenburg County is coaches' pay. And it's been an ongoing issue for years, but it kind of reached a peak this year. And our coaches were about to boycott. And the school system kind of talked them down and said, we will address it, you know, once the season is over. How is coaches' pay in Wake County, and are the coaches in Wake County content with how it's structured and how much you get paid, and are you getting paid for the playoffs? I think they like to know that here in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, every system is different, man. So we only get paid one time.
That's Mecklenburg County
for the entire season, man. And that was I think yesterday, as a matter of fact. So we get paid, you know, the last work day in November. In relative terms, it's a well-paid county with regard to coaching pay compared to most of the rest of the coaching supplements throughout the state. But if you poll our coaches, we're absolutely not content. High school coaches across the state of North Carolina, including in Wake County, are extremely underpaid. I mean, we work 60, 70 hours a week during the summertime, you know, for free, both head coaches and assistants. So I paid attention a little, you know, to the stories that were going on in Charlotte. And I'm glad that there were, you know, there was some unity amongst the coaches. And I think that's what it's going to have to take all across the state, is for the coaches to band together in an effort to get, you know, more of what we deserve. We don't do it to get rich. We know that we're investing in a lot more than just money. We're investing in young men and to see their development into adulthood. But we deserve to, you know, be able to feed our families a lot easier than we do, especially when we see the developments that are going on in other states. You know, the coaches in Florida had a similar gripe for a lot of years, and they've been getting some breakthroughs lately. So that's encouraging to see some of the, you know, some of the other states in the Southeast get a little closer to what we see in Georgia and South Carolina, for example.
You know, the topic of Georgia has come up a couple of times tonight, and I've been looking at Twitter where the courts and the legislature have intervened in a suspension given to one of the schools in Georgia in the playoffs. They had a fight and they suspended 39 kids, and they appealed it through the courts and got the suspension stayed, which means they were going to put it off for a while and let the kids go ahead and play. And then the state came back and they wanted an injunction. So now the playoff game has been postponed. Friday night's playoff game has been postponed.
Wow.
Because the state association and the courts and their state association has been infiltrated by legislators, just like ours has. And now you have a playoff game delayed because of court decisions. And, I'm just thinking if the legislature is so gung-ho in interfering in high school athletics, why aren't they doing their job as far as, contributing to high school athletics as far as funding or paying coaches and that type of thing? They stick their foot in and during the playoffs, but they don't want anything to do with it when it's time to fund high school athletics and the money that goes into coaches' pay. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can't speak with any amount of authority on the Georgia situation. I did see that story come across my timeline. I don't know enough about it. I've been kind of knee deep in game planning and get ready for the game. I did notice.
Understand.
But certainly there should be more investment into high school football, just high school athletics in general, and we definitely need representation. That's kind of closer to the world that we live in. That's for sure. But it's like anything else. In politics, it's going to take unity amongst large groups, amongst high school football coaches, amongst high school coaches in general across the board, the spectrum of the different sports, in order to get some things to change.
Hey, Brandon, you got any like to ask Lamar some questions?
Sure, I got one sort of. It's a question we build off throughout the interviews today. Going back even to the spring and then through the summer, what do you think is the biggest point of like improvement you guys have had? What do you think has really helped sort of move you into that realm, being a state title contender? What do you think was the biggest point of growth you guys have had?
That's a really good question, man. It's not one I've given a lot of thought to. I'm not sure that there's just just one event or one circumstance. But it's really just been the hunger and the consistency that we've seen from our guys, really since January. We lost to Harvard in the third round of the playoffs last year after going 11-2 and not expecting to be 11-2, at least from the outside world. We had our expectations amongst ourselves, but we had a different level of hunger and focus and expectation this year. From the very beginning, our kids' focus and their expectation was to compete for a state championship. They believed in it, and they put in the work in order to do it. So I'm just really happy for them to be in this position, to have an opportunity to be one game away. But again, we got a tall mountain to climb. We got a lot of respect for Harvard. They're a great team. Let's go take our best foot forward in order to have a chance.
I don't have a question. That was my question, kind of, was what have you done this year to put you on the path to where you are? Always overcoming barriers. All teams face barriers, it seems like, or all programs seem to face a barrier in the playoffs that they eventually get over. So all I'm going to say is I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving and you play a great game Friday night, and best team comes and meets the best team from the West.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you,
Coach Marsh. I got one more question for you. Would you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the reclassification or realignment of conferences this season? What are your thoughts on the realignment of conferences and divisions this year? Did that help Millbrook, or did you think it may have hurt Millbrook in some way?
I mean, we're the ninth largest team in the state. So whatever the largest classification is, we're always going to be in it. We got just under 2,600 students. My thoughts overall on it is this is the world that we're used to living in. I started coaching in 2000. And so from most of the years between now and then, we've had 8 classifications in football. It just wasn't predetermined before the season. We kind of broke them up after the season. So I really think that's a question best fitted for all of the other sports other than football, because it's not our first time having 8 classifications. It is so for the rest of the sports. So, I'd be interested in hearing what, some coaches of some other sports. As a football coach, eventually, man, you have your opinions about realignment. It worked out pretty good for us. We're in an all 8A league. I think there's only 2 all 8A leagues in the state, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely not more than several. So it's worked out well for us. We preserve some natural rivalries in the conference and preserve some more in our non-conference schedule. So it's worked out good for us. But once it's done, man, now we just got to lock in as football coaches and just prepare for what's at hand, and that's whoever's on our schedule. And right now it's Harvard up next. Day after Thanksgiving. We're expecting a huge crowd. Should be an exciting game for the fans to come out in Wilmington. There'll be plenty to drive down from Raleigh as well. So we're just excited about the opportunity.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us here. It's good to have some Eastern representation. And by the way, I'll give you a little deep dark secret about me. I'm also from the West, but came to Orange County back in '89. So anyway, everybody, this was Lamar Marshall over at Millbrook. And Coach Marshall, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a good one, man.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all as well, man.
Good luck, Coach.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we got another guest. We are just loaded with guests. E.J. Campbell. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. How about y'all?
Oh, pretty good, man.
Good to see you, bro.
What's going on?
Nothing much. Just out of curiosity, where are you from? Are you from the Raleigh area originally, or?
I'm from Raleigh. I went to Southeast Raleigh, graduated in 2007. So yeah, I'm born and raised here in Raleigh.
Okay, I got you. My parents live off of 1010 Highway over near Miller Creek High School. So welcome aboard. Got a big game coming up. You got to play Clayton again, I guess, on Friday. This is the second time you played them. You beat them the first time. That's going to be a big, huge game. You expecting a lot of people there?
Yeah, it's a conference matchup. So when every time we play Clayton or any of our conference opponents, we get good turnout, and they do too. So we're expecting a pretty big crowd. Locally, you've got Garner and Cardinal Gibbons, which is another game local. But other than that, I think we're one of the only shows in town, so we do expect a big crowd.
I'll tell you one thing about your team is battle tested. I'll tell you what, that is a great conference. Clayton, Cleveland, Southeast, Raleigh. You got Gardner. You got a pretty decent South Gardner team, Fuquay, and then you got Smithfield, Selma. That conference schedule had to help you out a lot during the season to get to where you are tonight or Friday night.
Yeah, our conference is really tough, and we knew that, but also our non-conference, we tried to challenge ourselves. We opened up with Enloe, who was really good this year. Coach Clark does a great job with those guys. And then we went down to Dudley and played a really good football team. And they hit their stride as the season kind of progressed. We played East Wake, who, they made the playoffs and had a good season. And then we played Cardinal Gibbons before we went into conference. Myself and Coach Wright talked about, playing each other. Originally, when we talked about it, they were in, I think, 6A. And then, we wanted to keep that game with them, even though we were in the same classification. And then, like you said, in our conference, you've got 3 teams left in the East from our conference, Garner, Clayton, and us. And then, the teams that are not in it anymore, we beat Cleveland, and then Cleveland beat South Garner. And Fuquay was knocked out by Cardinal Gibbons. So, it's no nights off in our conference. Like I tell everybody, we've got a tough stretch. Every game in conference is tough.
One last question I got to ask you. Are you getting tired of hearing everybody talk about the West and everybody's kind of like ignoring the East? Just be real. I'm petty. I'm big on the East. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I had an opportunity to coach in Charlotte for a couple of years, so I know they play really good football out there. But I tell some of my buddies in a group chat that I think, and some of them still coach out there. I do believe there's been strides, and I think it's a lot closer than people think. I know in the 7A and the 8A classifications, um, a lot of people feel like that the Eastern team is playing for second. But we don't believe that. I can speak for my program that we feel like we can go toe to toe with a lot of those teams on the western side of the state.
Well, I agree with
EJ,
you.
am I correct in saying that Southeast Raleigh is a year-round school?
Well, it's a modified year round, so we start usually a month before everybody else at the end of July. We go for 9 weeks. We get off for 2 weeks. So like usually around between week 6 and 7, we are on a 2-week off from school, and then we go back for 9 weeks, and then we finish our semester in December, and then we start a new semester in January.
How does that affect football when you get 2 weeks off in the middle of the season?
So with the new realignment, one of my things that I really wanted was for one of those weeks to be one of our bye weeks, because one of the challenges is not only keeping the kids focused, but getting kids to practice during during the time that we can practice, because we do get some kids from another local academy, Vernon Malone Career and Technical Academy, and they're still in school. So we can't go in the mornings on that 2-week break. We still have to practice in the afternoon. So that's one of the challenges. And then early in the season, there are some challenges when usually the first week when we're in school, that's still considered summer workouts. So we're not able to go in Wake County. We have a beat the heat time. So you cannot go outside until 5 o'clock. So that's usually a real challenge for us, because even though we're in school, no matter if we're not in one of the restricted codes, we still can't go outside until 5 p.m., that's more of the challenge, because once we get into the season, week 6, week 7, our kids have gotten into a flow. We figured out the right situations ahead with our parents. And the hardest thing, like I said, is that those first couple weeks in school when we're still in summer workouts, and we can't go outside and do anything with our kids until 5 o'clock.
Has anybody petitioned or asked the school board in Wake County to grant your athletic program some relief by using, say, activity buses to pick up the kids, since they have to come to practice but they don't have to come to school?
We've got, like I said, we've got a great group of parents, and they've kind of gotten together, and we do have a number of kids that stay very close to the school. So they work it out amongst themselves and amongst the parents, and they find ways to get there. The harder part is the younger kids. The older kids kind of know the expectation. They find their way there. So some of the younger kids, we have to get them situated with an older kid in the neighborhood or something like that.
Now, you mentioned that you coached in Charlotte. Where is it that you coached in Charlotte? I'm thinking, is it Vance? Did you coach with Brian?
Yes, sir. I was at Vance High School.
Okay.
I wanted to build off that question real quick. So career-wise, is one of your biggest sort of disappointments in your career that we only got to work together for a little short while? Is that one of your biggest disappointments you've had?
Yeah, I wish I could have got a chance to work with Coach Sneed a lot longer. We worked together for about a spring.
Yeah, it was just a spring. That was it. And then Coach Brand left.
Yeah, and then I moved back home. My wife and I moved back home. Had my first son, who's 7 now. So time has definitely flown since then.
Amazing how it goes by so fast. I know when I first got hired by Coach Brand, I think one of the first people I talked to was Coach Campbell. So we got to know each other well. Went through a spring, but that was it. So I feel like we worked together, but not enough for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Coach is doing great things at Hopewell. So are y'all in 7A? Y'all 7A?
Yeah, we're 7A. Yes. Yeah.
hopefully we'll run into y'all. And
Hey, that'd be great because
Yeah,
that means we're playing somewhere real special. So that'd be great.
There we go.
Hey, EJ, I wanted to ask you this, and I've known you for a long time. I remember when you was at Vance, and then you made your way back home to Raleigh. But tell me just kind of the differences from your perspective as a coach, having coached at the top level in Charlotte, and now doing the exact same thing in Raleigh. Kind of the differences in the style of football. I go back to the early 2000s, maybe in the mid 2000s. Raleigh was kind of known as a little bit of a finesse city for football. You had a bunch of 37, 45 games, and there really wasn't a lot of defense. And then, over the course of time, I feel like you started to get an influx of some coaches that kind of changed the branding of football in Raleigh. Just kind of give us, from your observation, a difference in just the style of football there versus here in the Charlotte area.
So I think Charlotte had some mega superstar head coaches, and they still have a lot of really great head, but you had like some really big names that were able to grow the game at a faster level than kind of what we had in our area. And then, I think around the time, maybe, when you get guys like Coach Lucas at Wake Forest, who was able to win 3 state championships. And then, we've got programs now who I think with Millbrook and Cardinal Gibbons and Garner and Clayton and Cleveland, Coach Chadwick has been in Charlotte. I'm probably, you got Coach King, who's in Durham, who's won state championships, Coach Robinson, who's done a great job at Southern Durham. I mean, we've got really good coaches in our area too, but not only that, I think our players, they get a chance to go against a lot of the kids in Charlotte, even though it's youth league or whether it be AYF or travel ball. And then I think they get the opportunity to go against these other cities, and they can. I think that's what's helped us grow and develop. I think our youth leagues and the way that they have grown has really helped us kind of catch up to Charlotte. Because and then I think one of the challenges I think is we have more schools in Wake County than CMS does. So your talent gets spread out a little bit more. But I think the biggest thing, with I guess if you want to say catching up or making some strides, I think it would be the development of our coaches. And not only that, I think just the development of our kids in the off season. Like our county has done a great job of giving us opportunities to do more in the spring than in the past. So I think stuff like that has really helped us.
Yeah, EJ, you mentioned that Wake has more schools than CMS, and the players are spread out. In Charlotte, it's not publicized, but we all know that the kids kind of congregate probably 6 or 7 schools in Charlotte, and everybody else turns into the have-nots. Do you have that problem in Wake County with kids transferring a lot, and how does Wake County handle kids jumping from school to school?
So when I came to Southeast, we were one of the schools that everybody was leaving. We had, and I'll say this, like every team, almost a lot of teams we were playing, that they had guys that stayed in our district. And kind of the question you asked earlier, Gary, about the schedule and the 9-week on, 2-week off, that was a way for families to really, leave our school essentially. And I think the biggest thing is, I think the people just got to trust you and trust the process of what you're doing and see that vision and plan. Because the number one thing that I asked, I told my principal and my AD at the time, we have to get the kids that are supposed to go to our school to want to be at our school. And I think once we did that and really just focus on our kids, I think that's when we were able to really grow as a program. I heard Coach Sneed say something about it maybe a week or two ago. I think that's with any school though. Like if you get the kids that are supposed to go to your school to want to be there, I think, and then you've got the right coaching in place and you've got the right structure, I think then that gives you a chance to have a successful program. But I think if kids that are in your base school don't want to be there, or find ways to go somewhere else. I think that's a challenge in everywhere, not only in Raleigh, even in Charlotte. I mean, you could say it in Greensboro. Everybody's gonna want to go to the Dudleys, the Grimsleys. In Wilmington, is everybody gonna want to go to Hoggard? So I just think that anywhere you go, you got to get those kids to want to be a part of what you're doing as a program.
So, Coach, I want to ask you, last few seasons, or let's say for a while now, records haven't been great, but you now have your team one game away from a state championship appearance. What is different at SCR this season? What have you done to get yourself here?
Well, so with us, I think it's been a building, just continuing to lay it kind of like the old way. We've taken very small steps. And I think we've been young. Last year, we had a lot of sophomores playing in key roles. The year before that, obviously, we had some freshmen playing in key roles. And this year, I think we've just been able to break through because we've got a senior quarterback who's been a part of this journey all the way through. We've got a really good defensive end and Kisani Laser, who's been a part of that journey all the way through. And then we've got some really talented young guys in our sophomore and our junior classes that have seen it from the ground up. So I think when you see those kids and they see the time that we put in and they just kind of trusted and going back to the last question, they could have left and went other places and probably had, great numbers or stats or whatever. But they just trusted what we were doing as a staff, and not only as a staff, what we build as a school community. They've trusted that, and I think that's what's really gotten us over the hump, just the trust factor from within our program.
Last question. When did you graduate from SCR?
2007.
2007. So there's and you played there, right?
Yes, sir.
I attended 2 games in, I think it was 2007, 1 game in 2006. So maybe I saw you play, but I'm apologize, I don't recall.
We had we played. I remember one year. I feel like we used to play New Bern every year, or either we played a team from Fayetteville, whether it was New Bern or 71st one year.
No, I watched you guys play.
Garner was really good. They had,
I watched you. I watched you play Garner at home. It was a rainy, nasty field. One of the games
moved to a Monday.
Got moved to a Monday. That's why I saw the game, because I was in Raleigh working on Monday, so I was able to go to it. That's the only reason.
Yep,
that's right. So you remember that game?
Yep, that was my junior year.
Okay. Yep, I remember that.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming up on Thanksgiving. I know you got better things to do than talk to us, but we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Hope the best for you on Friday night, and enjoy the holidays, and more, just as importantly, enjoy Friday.
All right, thank y'all. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, EJ.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Good luck.
Good luck. Great game.
All right, Coach Campbell at Southeast Raleigh. That was a great interview. Chris, I know you probably have to step off, and he just did. So it's going to be the Dale, Gary.
I'm still here. Somebody cut me off.
Okay. It wasn't me,
Yeah.
I can promise you.
No, I do have to step off here in a minute, but I just wanted to spend this time with y'all and these coaches. And, this is the best time of year, and you got to celebrate this week.
Well, we appreciate you, Chris. That's Chris Hughes, the want voice in North Carolina high school football. Along with us, we also got Brandon Sneed from Hopewell. Guys, I want y'all to be the contestants of the game. Am I sane or insane? Maybe we can go over some of the scores here. We're going to go real fast about the games Friday night. I'm taking Robbinsville by a running clock. Sane or insane?
I'll go first. These guys, though Brandon should remember it from last week. I think potentially sane there with the running clock part. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say sane. I've already said I'm a big Robbinsville fan, so I'd agree with that.
All right, Gary, you're on the clock.
it wouldn't be fair for me to comment because I don't know anything below 6A. So you can
Gary,
I
just
got
know
leave
this:
6A.
Robinsonville is a tradition in North Carolina when it comes to football. That is a true tradition there.
I agree with you. Talking about traditions, Northside actually has been to a 1A state championship game before, the small 1A. I think it was about 7, 8, 9 years ago. They're playing a pretty good Wilson Prep team that I think is going to create their own tradition. Don't be surprised by that record, 7-5. They played a absolutely brutal 1A schedule. I think that game is going to be fairly even. I'm going to give Wilson Prep the edge. Dale, sane or insane?
I think sane. I think Northside's a great football team, but I really have liked Wilson Prep all season. I'm not stepping off that bandwagon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
How
say
about you,
sane,
Brandon?
sane as well. Also, what I saw Wilson Prep has been more focused on the postseason. But man, what a schedule they must have played to have the look like they look and play like they play and have 5 losses on the year. Because I've watched them play in the playoffs. It's pretty impressive.
When you play a team like Clayton, who's a 7A team, you're playing a pretty tough schedule. And Clayton's still playing right now, so we'll go on to the 2As. Got more games this time. This Corvian versus Murphy, I've been going back and forth on this, and I'm going to go with Corvian in a close one, and I'm also taking Starmount in not such a close one. So I'm taking Corvian and Starmount. Dale, sane or insane with those picks?
Sane on both of them, including the closeness of the Corvian game. And, yeah, it's going to be hard for Mitchell to keep that game within striking distance.
How about you, Brandon?
I would say sane, even though I do have a slight disagreement. I think Murphy will probably win it. That's just a prediction, but I think it will be a very tight game. I agree with you about Starmount as well.
Tell you what, that is a cold, cold place to play on Friday night after Thanksgiving.
We're already talking about how cold it's going to be this week, Thursday, Friday here, and I would not want to imagine what it's going to feel like going to Murphy on Friday night in the dark and the cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it's a long drive. That's
is
a long ride. There's just potential of leg fatigue and all those other things. So anyway.
Yeah, they're too young for all that. They don't have no leg fatigue. They'll be all right.
So in the 2A Tarboro Invitational, I'm taking Tarboro big over East Bladen, and I'm going to go with Holmes over Warren County. I did see Warren County play, but I think Holmes has just a little bit more ponies. Brandon, I'll start with you. Sane or insane?
Sane. I think Tarboro is almost understood at this point. You could probably draw it up with them. You could write their schedule out always to the state title game. Last week I said I was betting against Holmes and I lost, so they beat North Duplin, so I'm going to go ahead and go with them this week to get the win as well.
Gotcha. How about you, Dale?
Sane on both. I just kind of wish East Bladen could make it a game because I like East Bladen a little bit.
I agree. Let's go on to the 3As. We're going to do a lightning round here. Shelby East Randolph, I'm going to go with Shelby in a very close one, and I'm taking Lincolnton by not such a close one over West Davison. Dale, sane or insane?
Sane on both.
How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, sane. Like last week, we talked about the directional Davidson, so that's pretty awesome. They've had the success they've had. I also like Eastern Randolph a lot, but I think Shelby's probably the right choice.
So in the East, I'm taking James Keenan by a couple scores over Farmville Central. Kinston Northeastern, that game could really go either way. I am actually going to take Northeastern. I just think Coach Morris has got something else to prove. Brandon, sane or insane?
I'm all right. So I'm actually going to say insane just for the fact that I think Kinston is taking the game. I agree on the James Keenan, but I think Kinston's will win it out this week.
Gotcha. How about you, Dale?
Sane on the Keenan. I've been leaning towards Kinston myself.
I think it'd be a great game for sure.
I think it's going to be a great game. So I think you're sane with your choice. Yeah.
And one thing I'll say about Elizabeth City, it's a little bit warmer in that part of the state than in the western part. So let's go on to the 4As. 4As, we got Pisgah at Brevard. This one is going to be a close one. I am going to go with Brevard. I think they're Houdini. I think they're going to come out, and I'm going to pick High Brighton in a very close one over Maiden. Brandon, sane or insane?
Insane. Brevard, I'm with you on that game, but I think Maiden's actually going to take it this week. I think they got a real stud in the backfield who's will be playing for us in the Queen City Bowl, and I think he's going to carry him to the win this week.
Wonderful. How about you, Dale?
Brevard, no question. I'm back and forth on this game, quite honestly, Jim. I think Maiden's got opportunities to win the game, but did you say it was going to be a blowout, or did you just pick
very
High
close?
Brighton to win?
Very
close. I think you're
very close.
I think you're saying then, because I believe it'll be a close game.
Gotcha. Okay, in the East, Central Davison playing football in a phone booth at Reidsville. I'm going to go with Reidsville, but it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a pretty close game. South Edgecombe at West Craven. I'm going West Craven all the way. Dale, sane or insane?
West is going to win the East there, and I go with you on both of them.
Okay. How about you, Brandon?
Same.
Yeah, I'm saying same on both. I completely agree with you on the Central Davison and Reidsville. I think it might be a little closer than people imagine early because there'll be a lot of clock. They'll grind the clock down, but I think Reidsville wins pretty comfortable in the end, but not a blowout or anything like that.
Got to give a handout to the Davison teams. I mean, you got South Davison, West Davison, and Central Davison.
Somehow become like the cheerleader for Davison County Directional Schools outside, whatever it is, but it's pretty neat to see.
It is neat to see.
Because some of those schools were really bad for a long time, like really bad. And it's nice to see some of them schools sort of have the runs they've been on this year.
Oh, I agree. Usually it's Thomasville, Oak Grove, and North Davison used to have a really good one. Let's go on to the 5As here. 5As are going to be – and Gary, just let me know. You said 6A, I think, is when you want to come in.
Yeah, so, I can get in on the 5A. I know some of these schools. Yeah.
Okay, in the West, I'm going with Crest. And in the Hickory J.M. Robinson game, I think this is going to go overtime. And I won't surprise people. I'm picking J.M. Robinson. Dale, sane or insane?
I'm with Crest. And even though South Point can make it difficult, but I think South Point's got to have a lot of things going for them to beat Crest. They are at home. And I have picked Robinson in our picks. I'm expecting that to be a phenomenal football game, though.
Me too. All right, Gary, I'm going to put you on the clock this time. What do you think, Gary?
I agree with you on Crest. I'm leaning towards Hickory because of their playoff experience. I think this is as deep as Robinson has ever been in the playoffs, and I'm thinking Hickory is more playoff tested. So I lean towards Hickory in that game.
Okay, Brandon, how about you? What's your thoughts?
Same. I agree with both.
I gotcha. I'll tell you right now, Joe Glass is just thanking the high heavens I picked against him. Every time I do that, he usually comes back to haunt me. Going into the East, that Croatan Hunt, that's going to be a darn good game, but I'm going to go with Jim Hunt boys over Wilson. And Rocky Mount at Jacksonville Northside, that's going to be another very close game, very close. I'm going to pick Northside in that one in a squeaker. Brandon, sane, insane?
Insane. Rocky Mount's winning it.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. How about you, Gary?
I'll go with your picks in the East.
Okay. How about you, Dale?
Hunt, another tough one, but I don't know. I kind of like Rocky Mount.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to go with against Rocky Mount. That's a great traditional program also. 2015 and 16, they made to the state championship when 2015 lost against South Point in 2016.
But if you're not expecting it to be a big win by Northside, then you're saying.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be – both of those games are going to be squeakers. Let's go on to the 6A. Ashbrook and Northern Guilford, I'm thinking about going to that game. I really am. I think that's going to be a game to go to in Guilford County. I'm expecting a lot of defense. And in defensive games, I think it's hard to pick against Ashbrook. And Sun Valley Watauga, that game, I've been going kind of back and forth about this weather versus greatness. I'm going to go with weather, believe it or not. So I'm picking Ashbrook and Watauga. Brandon Insane are just really, really crazy.
No, I say Saint. I agree with both. Speaking from experience, going to Boone and beating Watauga in the playoffs when it really matters is always going to be tough, and the weather is definitely not going to help this week.
How about you, Gary?
I don't put a lot of emphasis on the weather because both teams got to be in the weather. I just don't buy the weather stuff as much as a lot of people do. But I still like Watauga in this game. And the Ashbrook Northern Guilford, I think that's a toss-up. I really do think it's a tie. It may come down to whoever has the ball last.
How about you, Dale?
Defenses in this time of season in the cold win games. Ashbrook's got a phenomenal defense. I like Ashbrook. I've liked Ashbrook from the start of the playoffs. And I like Sun Valley here because I think the style of play that Sun Valley has, Watauga is going to have problems with. The only issue for Sun Valley may be the wind. So that could be a problem for them because there's supposed to be pretty decent wind Friday night.
Yeah, that's always tough when you're up anywhere. Be honest with a passing game. Going to the east, Middle Creek at Northern Nash, and Union Pines at Jacksonville. Both of those games should be decent. That Middle Creek Northern Nash there, I'm taking Northern Nash, and I think by probably 7 to 10 points. And Union Pines at Jacksonville, I've been really big on Union Pines, but for some reason Jacksonville seems to be heating up at the right time. Won a couple close ones. I'm gonna go with Union Pines in a very, very close one. Dale, insane.
I think you're saying. I think we mentioned this Friday night. And, Union Pines, we like to see Coach Till do well, but Jacksonville's a really good football team. I like Northern Nash and Jacksonville. So you're saying.
Gotcha. How about you, Gary?
I'm leaning with the home teams.
Home teams. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm sort of going the same way. I think Jacksonville seems like they're sort of rolling right now in terms of not necessarily being hot, but they have it together, and I think it's going to be a tight one, but I pick Jacksonville and Northern Nash.
All right. Let's go on to the 7As. All right, Independence of Weddington and Reagan at Grimsley. I'm going with the home teams in both of them. Brandon, sane or insane?
I'd say sane. I think especially Independence of Weddington's will be a dog fight. But I would go Weddington there just by the slimmest of margin, and I think Grimsley wins as well.
How about you, Gary?
I'm gonna agree with Brandon. I'd like to see Independence win, but I just keep thinking about that defensive front for Weddington, and that's gonna be a tough task. It's not impossible, but if both teams play their best, then I think Weddington wins. Grimsley, I don't think that's a contest.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I about have to make a coin flip video like Dale for that one,
huh? So, for me, I was at the Independence Weddington game 2 years ago, and of course, it was just a total mismatch in physicality between the two teams. I'm interested in seeing how much Independence has closed that gap. And if they have closed the gap, then they have a shot. But I picked Weddington in our picks, and I'm sticking with that right now. I would like to see Independence win, or I'd like to see Weddington. I just like to see a good football game. Grimsley in the other.
Okay, in the East, Southeast Raleigh at Clayton. These two teams played earlier on the season. Southeast Raleigh actually won by a field goal. I am actually going to take Clayton. I hate that. I've just met E.J. Campbell for the first time. Here I am. Of course, he's probably loving it, probably giving some bulletin board material. But I'm going to take Close in the squeaker, and I'm going to take Cardinal Gibbons over Gardner. Dale, I'll start with you.
My off the cuff pick is Clayton and Cardinal Gibbons. That's that's my pick.
Okay. How
And
about
you're
you, Gary?
saying
I'm gonna go with Southeast Raleigh and Gibbon.
All right. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, you're insane. I'm going. I'm going Southeast Raleigh as well, and Cardinal Gibbons. Just for everybody out there, especially if you're a fan of offensive line play, Grayson Williams, the sophomore tackle from Southeast Raleigh, is an animal. So I'd check him out if you're interested in that.
See, it's always good to give coaches a lot of bulletin board material. I guarantee my name's been out there in the past. Let's go on to the 8As. All right. We got. We'll start with the JV teams here. West Charlotte. I'm sorry. I'm joking with here. But all four teams are great here. West Charlotte, Huff. I love both of these coaches. I just think West Charlotte's just got a little bit too many ponies for Huff, but not by much. But I'm going to take West Charlotte and Squeaker. Sane or insane, Brandon?
Yeah, I said it last week, sort of a similar situation, but I'm not even. I'm going to abstain from having an opinion because I'm not sure what's going to happen Friday.
I got you. Gary, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go with what I said Sunday. Can West Charlotte make extra points? Or are they going to be chasing points all night with 2-point plays? They are very even. But as a former coach, I like to watch the operational process of the game. How coaches interact with their staff, how they interact with the players when the defense comes off, when the offense, how they make adjustments during the game. And this is no way to slight West Charlotte, but I just think Huff's operational process during a game is a little bit better than West Charlotte's. And that doesn't mean West Charlotte doesn't have good coaches, but as a coach, I like to watch the sideline during the game to see what each side is doing. And I just like Huff's operational process during the game. They got it at home. They're healthy. They got no excuse this time. They got no excuse. So I think I'm going with Huff 28-27.
Dale, it's all yours.
no, do the East, and then I'll
Okay.
do this because
Okay,
we want to set something up.
Okay, I got you. I'm going to go with Millbrook over Hoggard. Brandon, sane or insane?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Gary, sane or insane?
Sane. I'm going with Millbrook also.
All right, Dale, turn it over to you for both of those.
Yeah, I like Millbrook. I'd like to see a good ball game, but I like Millbrook in that game. On West Charlotte Huff game, I do suffer with anxiety, and anxiety can shut me down sometimes in things that I'm doing if it gets too high. And it actually got that high as I was trying to make a decision on who to pick in this game because I can develop scenarios in my head where either team will win this ball game. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. I don't know that two teams will get into the 20s like Gary thinks, but certainly I don't think we'll see anybody scoring in the 30s. And I really think this game is more like a 21-14 kind of game, maybe. But I don't know who gets the 21 and who gets the 14. So what did I have to do? Well, here's what I had to do. Heads, Huff, tails, West Charlotte. Stop it. Okay, so it's Huff. That's how I made my pick. You can call me insane. I had no idea what to pick. I honestly did not. And now I get to see who joined me with Huff and who joined me with West Charlotte. So either I'm going to go one up on Langston, or I'm going to catch up with Langston, excuse me, or Langston's going to go one more up on us, Gary.
Wow, just looking at the picks here. Wow. So I picked West Charlotte. I picked Weddington. I picked Ashbrook. I picked Watauga.
See, the Ashbrook Northern Guilford game is going to be a close game.
Yeah.
So I can see people picking one way or the other.
There's only one game I could see where it's not going to be a close one. I think that Crest South Point, just because those two teams played earlier on in the season. But we've seen the scenario where Crest wins in the regular season and South Point wins in the playoffs in the past. So
yeah, I don't think you're going to see a game like you saw earlier in the season. I don't expect that to be a wide gap game. South Point's really good, and they're playing at home, and they're playing in the playoffs. And, this is just all the elements that are right for a South Point team. But Crest is so dynamic that I think South Point needs a lot of things going right for them.
I just noticed that Langston's ahead of you in the picks.
Yeah, he's one ahead of me. So
you got a couple chances to pass him this time.
Yeah, but one of them's based off of a coin flip, and
I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
I can see being 3 down to him. I see No Limit pick South Point though. That's really going out on a limb, I think.
That's going in like a limb in the middle of a hurricane. But
everybody but Gary picked Robinson. How about that?
I was thinking about, we were texting all week about access to the field for Friday night. I don't know if y'all discussed this already, but I was like, Friday night might be one game that I don't even want to go on the field, because I know most of the guys on the West Charlotte staff, and I know most of the guys on the Huff staff, and they really watch this, and they find a way to motivate themselves off the things we say on here. It's almost funny to me, and then you look at them like, he's dead serious. Like, I can't believe you picked against us. You can't pick against us. Like, I gotta make a pick. I can't. I don't make my picks based on whether I like you or not. I like all of you. I'm friends.
Why do you think? Exactly. Why do you think I had so much anxiety, Gary?
Yeah, they will use it. Now, I don't care if they use it, because, if they say something to me, I'll say something right back. I don't care. But, they really take it seriously. You picked against us. Why'd you pick against us?
Personally.
Yeah.
Our buddy Sam might not let me come over on his sideline. He already threw that out one time, and that it was a line in the sand, and I could just stay over on the Huff side because they my buddy. Now that this, but hey, I did it by coin flip. It's not about that's what they don't understand, Gary. It's not about who you like or who you want to win. It's who do you analyze and think's going to win.
Yeah.
They view it as an affront. Now, I don't know if Baker would be so bad, or Chachi, or any of the other. I like you, Gary. I know guys on both sides. I know most of the coaches there at Huff and at West Charlotte. Yeah. And some of them just treat it like an analytical thing, and some treat it personal. Well, you ain't got no confidence in me.
It's funny because I run into coaches all the time in the barbershop. Okay, a lot of coaches go to the same barbershop that I go to, and I'm just sitting down there. Who you got Friday? Who you picking? I was like, I don't go to practice. I don't look at film. None of that stuff. So after time, I don't have a clue. But they like,
it's analytics a lot of times, just pure analytics on our end.
Brandon, what's your response to that?
In terms of being picked against?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is no offense to anybody who's picking, but I really just do not care. I could not care one bit less. I say that, but I know some coaches on my staff do because I think it's just personality or whatever. But I just do not care one bit.
So you recognize that if Hopewell was up here, let's say it was Hopewell versus Huff, and it's just in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Huff. You'd understand why, right?
Yeah, and I would. Yeah, I would understand whoever you want to pick, but even if I didn't understand, I wouldn't let it bother me for more than about 7 seconds, and I'd just keep it moving. I got a lot of other stuff to worry about besides that. No offense to you, Dip.
Oh goodness.
Now, see, I know what Brandon's talking about because if they're one of our picks that week, I don't even go on that end of the building if I can help it because most of the coaches are down on the same end where Brandon is. I'm not even going down there unless they send me to a class down there to cover. So I'm not even going down there, but the kids will find me anyway. They'll come by the room. Who'd you pick? Are we one of your picks this week? Who'd you pick?
Well, Brandon kind of, I don't think he necessarily said it out loud, but sometimes it's hard to pick, especially if you're in the same area as you got colleagues in this in CMS specifically, like Huff, West Charlotte. I know it's very hard for Brandon to pick against or for either one of those teams.
Oh, listen, I was at a game. I think it was when this happened. Well, it was a Weddington game, and I believe I don't remember which game it was now, but I'm thinking it was the Independence game. I don't know that I picked Independence in that game, but if I did, anyway, I always go out on the field in pregame, and if coaches are free, I'll say something to them. I'll say something to the white hat, but I let coaches come to me. I try not to interfere with what they're doing. And so I'm standing there, and somebody taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around and it's Andy. And he's like, "So you picked against us."
So I don't have to worry about that.
Oh, he's like, "Yeah, we saw that." And he's a number of times over the years, he jokes about it. I've never had a problem with him, though, but some coaches have been a little bit of a problem about this.
Gotcha. Well,
I've been down on the field too when the officials are meeting, and I don't know as many as I used to, but I still know a few. And what I hate seeing, especially in basketball season, when I see the supervisors of officials coming in the game, because then I know it's gonna be if it's basketball, it's gonna be a lot of whistles, and if it's football, it's gonna be a lot of flags. And I may say something. Yeah, I saw the supervisor of officials come in, but he left. I'll say that I'm lying, but I'm like, but he left because nobody is coming to see them, but they're thinking, oh yes, there is, because my boss is here tonight. So they're gonna call it tight, and the officiating crews this weekend will be from different districts. So coaches probably are not going to know them. And
last week they were. They started. It started last week. Gary, one thing, and we'll pivot on, but one thing about that is that officiating crews are graded after every game, so their film is looked at, even prior to now. They officiate a game, let's say Brandon's game against Butler, or his game, fifth game in the season. The local association, they view those, they do look at those games, and they grade their officials and try to keep up with the how well they think their officials are doing.
But doing it in person, it just triggers something in an officiating crew. When they see that supervisor walk in with his little notebook, and when I used to see it, I'd be like, "Oh God, we're gonna be here all night long," because they're gonna call everything. I'm a big believer in advantage, disadvantage. Especially in basketball. Does it affect the outcome of the play? And if it doesn't, just let it go. Nobody wants to watch officials make calls all night. And I think the crew I saw last week at the Richmond County Independence game was the best officiating crew I saw all season. And I was standing over, down by the 20-yard line on the Independence side, and whoever was the side judge over there, I told him, I said, you don't know me and I don't know you. I say, but this has been the best officiated game I have seen all season. Now, I don't know if Richmond County would agree with that because they were on the losing end, but I don't think there was a call in that game that had an effect, unjustly on the outcome of that game or even situationally. I thought that was a well officiated game because you didn't notice the officials. You didn't notice them. They didn't have conferences when they made a call. That really ticks me off when they make I'm not gonna say a bad call, but when they make a call and they got to have a conference about it. Make the call, go tell the white hat, and let's keep it moving. But when they have to meet and talk about it, that drives me crazy.
All right. Well, I agree with you. And, talking about grading, we're talking about grading refs. Let's talk about grading some of the administrative people over the years, and especially this year. And I'm talking about CMS, about what they did with limiting tickets, hurting West Charlotte, they hurt Olympic, hurt some other programs that by trying to restrict the number of people that can attend. And, whenever you do stuff like that, there's an economic significance to it where you actually have hurt the schools economically by not having those ticket sales bring revenue, not having those people come into your turnstiles and going to get drinks and food at the concession stands. There was a movie my mother made me watch back a long time ago. It was back in the 60s. And I wasn't born in the 60s. The movie was back in the 60s. And one of the actors was Sidney Poitier, and the other main one was Katharine Hepburn's niece, Catherine Houghton. It was called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And a lot of times how this has happened this year with CMS, it almost reminds me of that movie where you got a black man coming home with his wife or future wife to see the family. And the reason why it feels that way is because CMS has yet to be transparent. And, West Charlotte, they've probably lost, $40,000, $50,000. And not one time have they ever mentioned about how West Charlotte's going to make up that money. Could it be something like a fundraiser? I mean, could we get CMS, the administrators, to go out and do some car washing or maybe do a lot of baked goods for the fans of basketball games? I just don't know. To me, this has been a huge social injustice against teams like West Charlotte. Gary, you've been in Charlotte for a long time. Dale, you have too. I'm going to start with you, Gary. Any thoughts about how this injustice could be made up with West Charlotte? And just to talk about the economics.
I agree with the transparency as to, why they didn't make the public aware as to why they decided a particular game would have limited admittance, limited ticket sales. I don't like that part of it because it allows the public to draw their own assumptions, and it could be wrong. I know some background behind it. I'm not at liberty to say, specifically why they did it. I understand why they did it. You have to understand it's all done in the name of safety. Okay? It's all done in the name of safety. Now, is that safety more at risk at West Charlotte than other schools? I don't know that because every school has metal detectors going into the school, going into the stadium, going into the gym. The school system takes every kind of precaution they can for the safety of the fans. So, bravo to that. I've never not felt safe at anybody's game. But I think they needed to have been transparent. But you also have to understand that different schools have different environments as far as what it's like in the building from 7 to 3. And when I was in between jobs, when I decided to leave Vance, and I had a choice of several schools to go to. And one of the things, that made me decide to go to Hopewell versus other schools was, number one, was can I win at that school? Okay. Is it possible to win? So what I was looking for is a sound administration, a sound AD, and I was looking mainly for schools where you're gonna have kids that come from a middle class background, where they're gonna have good parental support. But the second thing I was looking for was, what is the discipline in the school from 7 to 2:30? Okay, because my bills were paid off my teaching. I was a classroom teacher, and I had to be comfortable working in that building from 7 to 2:30. What it was going to be like in that building from 7 to 2:30 was more important to me, because that's what paid my mortgage. Okay, that outweighed the type of athletes I was going to have from 2:30 to 5 o'clock. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
how does that tie together? If the school was disciplined, okay, then at 2:30, when the kids came to practice, they were going to be disciplined. Okay, high school kids are not mature enough that they turn discipline on and off. They're either disciplined kids or they're not disciplined kids. And every school doesn't have the same type of discipline or accountability. So, we look at Friday night at 7 o'clock. The schools are looking at, they know their own kids, what they're like through the day. And probably how they're like through the day is how they're going to be at night. Do y'all understand what I mean?
Right.
And so those are things that downtown looks at. So we don't know. We assume this stuff going on at West Charlotte or other schools is coming from the higher ups. It might be coming from the administration of the schools that are being affected. They might be telling people downtown, we don't know if we can handle this crowd. Can you help us out? And when they say help us out, then downtown's remedy is, well, the best way to help you out is cut down on the number of people that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Safety comes before revenue. And so you have to look at it from that point of view, that sometimes, because of the transparency, we don't know. We saw
That's exactly it.
that they put out, that the administrators at some of these schools could say, look, we can't handle this crowd that's coming in. We don't have the security. So downtown says, well, we're going to help you out. We're going to cut down on the number of people that can get in. See, we haven't been discussing it from that angle. So I don't want to put a blanket over downtown saying, well, you're punishing this school or you're punishing that school, because that school may have asked for that. And I know that for a fact. Some schools have requested it.
Olympic didn't request it. No.
Well, that's Olympic.
No.
But we don't know about some of the other schools. Did they request it?
So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get to the financial thing. Didn't have a darn issue last Friday night. Huge crowd, didn't have an issue. Didn't have an issue at Providence. It's not safety. And if it is safety, downtown can address it. That's baloney, because downtown can address that. They can provide more security. They didn't. This does lie on downtown. And it's because lack of transparency, fine. But I'm the blame by me lays on downtown. Now, to address what Jim is asking. So, Jim, the way I look at it, and I won't be sarcastic with the, it's funny, you know, the bake sales and all. I mean, certainly money needs to be raised. But what the way it should be looked at is, we know that at the one game at Olympic, that would have been a sellout to near sellout crowd. Just because of, you know, it's Southwest Charlotte, and just the prox, that would have been a big game. That was a big game. And we know that there was going to be a big crowd at the Independence game. We know that. That would have been a sellout crowd. And we could expect that at the Providence game, there would have been a large crowd. So I think what CMS should do is go to, let's say, go to West Charlotte. We'll just use West Charlotte as the example here. Go to West Charlotte. Look at this past week's game and say, okay, we know what you would get from ticket sales if the game sells out. So we're going to give you that. But how much do you earn off of concessions? Because there's two funding sources here. Booster Club, and then there's ticket sales. So they should, I think, without any question, should give the school the money, how that goes funded into the school for ticket sales. And then the Booster Club raises the money through concession sales. So they should look at, well, how much money do we make per attended person? And so there's a number that every Booster Club knows that if we have 1,000 people attend the game, we're going to make about this much money in concessions. So if 1,000 people come, we're going to make this much. 2,000 come, we're going to make this much. And they should calculate what they would make off of concessions with a full stadium and give them that money as well. Now, where does that money come from? I don't know. They got to find it. But the fact
Dale,
that
I would tell you, every Booster Club is not set up the same way.
no, every Booster Club set up the same way. CMS, Gary, I was on Booster Club. CMS has bylaws that every Booster Club operates the same in CMS. Every Booster Club, unless CMS has changed that in the last 10 years.
Dale, let me finish. Okay, within a school Booster Club, they have to get volunteers of parents from the various teams to work the concession stand.
So we're talking about the team we're talking about the school that's impacted,
right?
Which is West Charlotte. They know how much. I understand that every school has to get volunteers to work concessions.
Right.
I know
but
that.
Let me tell you. Let me finish. Okay. Say one game they get the volleyball to work the concessions.
We're talking football. We're talking these football games. Let's be specific to the football.
I'm not talking about volleyball concessions. I'm talking about volleyball parents. Okay, they work the football concessions one Friday.
I know that.
The next it's the basketball or it's wrestling. So you take a specific game, and the parents of that particular team, they get the money for their kids.
No, all money in the Booster Club, and this is a requirement by CMS, cannot go to a specific team. It goes into the Booster Club. Athletic directors oversee every Booster Club now, and it's been that way for 20 years. The money goes into one fund. There used to be football clubs, basketball clubs. They used to have these different clubs. CMS went to one standard format of bylaws. All money goes into one funding. And then the Booster Club, through discussion with the athletic directors, determines where the monies go to. But back
But
to
okay,
how where
like
do
you
they?
said, you determine where the monies go to. But what I'm
Yes.
saying is, if one team within that athletic department, okay, if they don't work, then the booster club looks at it as like, well, y'all not getting new uniforms, okay, or y'all not getting.
No, they don't do
Y'all
that.
can't
They're
go
not
to this
allowed to do
particular
that.
camp, huh?
Well, that would
Say what?
that would be a poor athletic director doing that. That would be
I would tell
because
you,
the athletic
I've been,
director
I've,
is the
I've been,
ultimate.
I've been in different
But
programs.
let's just get
and
back
that's
to the
how
West Charlotte thing, because really there's a certain amount of money that would have gone into that booster club, okay, from concessions at West Charlotte games, and that's all I'm saying. So West Charlotte knows for how many people attend, how much they make in concessions, and that amount of money is what I'm saying needs to go into the booster club. Now, if they want to then say, okay, well, volleyball parents never work at football games, we're not going to give them any money. That's up to that athletic director. But the money should still have come in so the football team could get all of it, if it may be.
So, but are you going to getting back to transparency? Like I said, the way once they published the policy, remember we came on mid-season and we were complaining about it. So CMS published what their policy was, and a part of that policy was that if a particular school requested, if they told downtown, we're not going to be able to handle this crowd, we don't have enough people to work the game to handle this type of crowd, okay? If the school requested, and we don't know what schools did, but if a school requested that they have limited ticket sales because they didn't think they could meet security for that particular game, then why should that school receive some kind of compensation?
CMS, because what CMS should have done is not restricted, but provided the extra security. That's why. Because if they knew, like that Independence West Charlotte game, which was going to be a sellout, they knew there was revenue there that was going to come in, and they knew there was revenue that could pay CMS police to cover this extra stuff, then they should have provided the security. I agree. If it's if we're talking about a Garinger game, no, it shouldn't be done because Garinger never sells out. But if we know, that Independence West Charlotte game would have sold out, right? That was a guaranteed sellout, right? We don't disagree with that,
right?
So now we know there's a revenue of 4,500 ticket sales and concession sales that are going to be based off of 4,500 attendees. We know that's a guarantee that's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, instead, we just cut it to less than half. The smart move is financially, provide the extra CMS police to address that. Because it's not going to cost, you're talking hundreds of dollars that's going to offset or going to generate tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
So
yeah, here's where your argument makes sense. But here's the reality of it. CMS doesn't have discretionary funds sitting around.
That's not discretionary, Gary.
It is. If you're
we've
saying
had this discussion before. No, we've had that discussion before.
But
CMS
where do you think
CMS
this money
police
is coming from, Dale? You're talking about hiring extra security. Where do you think that money's coming from?
It's not. No, they're going to send their police. They'll pay them after the ticket sales come in. Then that money goes back to CMS. That's not discretionary. That can be done. You're making an excuse for CMS for not doing what needs to be done. Don't make excuses because this can be done. There's other funds. Things don't have to come out of discretionary. As I told you, at Olympic, I got that weight room rebuilt. Not because of discretionary funds, because discretionary funds were gone.
Dale, a weight
There's
room
other money, Gary.
Dale, A weight room is academic funds.
What?
Because they have weight training classes. Coach Snead
Yeah,
teaches
exactly.
weight training classes. He can
And
go,
school security.
He can go in there and argue he needs this and this for his classes. You know.
So are you going to tell me that if
right,
West
Coach?
Charlotte, are you, whoa, all right, let's end that. Are you going to tell me that if West Charlotte said, we have a security issue from the moment that school opens to the moment school closes? Okay, so the normal school day, that CMS would not provide extra security during the school day because they don't have the discretionary funds to cover it. So we'll have this discussion elsewhere. I see they're wanting to wrap up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
well, you know, they do assign CSAs. You know, every school doesn't have the same amount of CSAs. So the bigger the school, the more CSAs. But, you know, like I was saying with Brandon, he teaches weight training. If he needs some more equipment, he's more likely to get it if he argues that he needs it for his classroom instruction than he is to get it from the athletic budget.
so
Am
Gary,
I right,
you and I
Brandon?
need to have a video one time where we come on seriously and discuss this. Let's do that, please, so we can go in depth on this one subject.
Y'all sound like y'all could go for a while. That's a
could. That's why we do
post
need to
Thanksgiving
move
dinner
on.
conversation. After everybody's ate, y'all can talk.
Not tomorrow, no.
I came on
So we
here
know what time it
tonight.
is.
I came on here tonight because the Hornets game was so dang on bad. I couldn't look at it anymore.
That you wanted to
That's
do
what
what?
you get for having any other expectation.
Well, guys, I was going to tell you, I really appreciate everybody's viewpoints on this. This is a very touchy subject. And when we don't have great transparency about things like that, some perceptions or some conclusions, whether true or not, can cause some hard feelings, not with us, but with other people. So I appreciate everybody kind of chiming in about this. Tell you what, we've been here for about 2 hours. Dale, I think this is a good time to go ahead and wrap up and
For
do
final
your
thoughts, man.
final thoughts, man.
Yeah, so many things were going through my head on final thoughts as things have gone down this week, but I want to keep it on task, and maybe as a follow-up to what I said last week about, where we are in the process of the season, where everyone is at. Not everyone, but everyone that's still playing is facing a special moment of being able to practice on a Thanksgiving day. Not everybody gets to do that. Some people never get to do it in their whole high school career. Some coaches never get to do it. So y'all should take it as a special thing. Enjoy it. Enjoy the community that you have with your teammates, your family over this, and then of course when you go back home with your family. And everybody have a great Friday night. Please come out and watch games. You might be a little sleepy from all the turkey that you eat, though we're not eating turkey here. We're eating pork. But everyone enjoy it. And that's really just my thoughts were at this time. Enjoy the coming together. And I hope all the guys that get to participate tomorrow really grasp how special that is.
Well, I totally agree with you. I'll tell you what, we're also doing barbecue at the West House. We're going to go over to my parents' house tomorrow and celebrate Thanksgiving. But guys, thank you so much for everybody for joining in. From Dale Ross, Gary Richmond, and Brandon Snead, and myself, Jim West. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. There's plenty of times you can catch up with us again. We got Friday nights. We'll be on 11:30, and we also have a show on Tuesday and Wednesday. So please come join us. But until then, hope all's well. Take care. Bye.